Alright, let me know if you guys can hear me coming through. I am trying to find an image that I saved a little bit ago so we can work on our daily daily sculpt for the day. And excuse me, if you weren't on the patron only live stream yesterday, then you weren't able to hear me cough the entire time. I had a sinus infection. I had a cold, then a sinus infection, and now it's like gone into my lungs. So now I have a bit of a cough right now, and it's not too pleasant. So I'm super sorry if I cough into this mic a bunch, but we can go ahead and get started as soon as I find this image. And Katie said she can hear me, so that's awesome. That's one confirmed ear hole. Is that a thing that people say? Alright, so one sec. I'm trying to remember where where I saved this image. So yeah, I have an idea for a super cool snake that we're going to be sculpting. This is not the snake, but it should be, in all honesty. It's probably better. I think I just snake pick. My Google searching skills are unmatched. Concept by John Polidora, maybe? Polidora. I got this off of ArtStation a long time ago. A few months at least. And I really liked the character, but I also really like this snake. And I thought it would be really cool to do that snake for our daily sculpt today for Sculptember, right? I don't know if anybody else that's popping in here is working on Sculptember, but I certainly am. If you're following me on Instagram, you can see all those. And again, sorry for the new people that are popping in here for my voice. Got all my water, sinus infection, and now it's moved onto my lungs. So it's not super pleasant, but I'll try to push through. I'm tough. I can handle it. All right, so I'm just loading this up into Lightbox real quick. Lightbox, if you're not familiar with, is in your texture palette or menu, whatever you want to call it. Up here, texture. You just import your image and then click Add to Spotlight. It'll turn it on automatically for you. I have a nice tutorial on how you can use that if you want to use that for your reference images yourself. If you want to use it as a reference image, though, you have to turn off spotlight projection, and if you want to turn off spotlight projection, you can find that under brush in samples down here at the very bottom, spotlight projection. I just have that in my little pop-up menu that I have here, though. It makes it a little easier to find some quick stuff for me. So I'm just going to throw this off to the side so people can see what we're working on as they're coming in. Let's see here. We got a question. How many reference images do you use? Well, in this case, this image, who did I say? John Polidora maybe, the creator of this artwork right down here. Actually, I could have just read that. That probably would have been a bit easier. We only have one reference image for this sneaky snack, and if anybody in the comments knows what kind of snake this is in the chat, maybe we can Google some reference images. But I'm just going to go off of this image here. Might even do a quick crop of this image so that we can get rid of the character and just be looking more at the snake head. Well, actually, you know what? Spotlight has a little bit of a feature. Let's go back to ZBrush here real quick, where you can paint, and it's been a long time since I've done this, but if you paint in black, you can erase parts of your image, which is pretty useful. Can I... Alright, there we go. Move this out of the way. There we go. Alright, back to paint, and we can, I think, if we can increase our draw size. I don't know if we can do that inside of here. It's being a little finicky. Like I said, I don't use this all too often. Normally I would just crop it in Photoshop or something like that. But we can do like a quick little hide, so we're not staring at this entire character while we work. That makes it a little bit easier, and then we can undo that. Go back to, I don't know how I can actually toggle that off. What I want to do, there we go. Alright, that'll do. We have a little bit more screen real estate, so there's some functionality in Spotlight, but like I said, I don't use that paint function very often. It's like a worm, W-Y-R-M. I used to be, so I like collecting, which sounds super nerdy, I like collecting like weird, cool words, and worm is like one of those, or like worm and wyvern are like one of those cool words. I don't know, this sounds really lame now. The more I say it out loud, I shouldn't have started saying this. And there's like 5 different ways to spell like worm and wyvern. Anyway, that's all I'll say on that. So let's get started on this sneaky snack. We'll start off by just basing out this shape. We'll probably go to like the back of the neck here. I'm not gonna do anything wrapped around too crazy, but it would be cool if we use some new ZBrush 4R8 features to do some like VDM brushes, which was one of my more recent tutorials. If you saw that one. In that, I made some tentacle suckers for, what's her name? Marina from Splatoon 2. So that's what, if you haven't checked out that tutorial and you're interested in some new ZBrush 4R8 features, you can check out some of that stuff. So yeah, we're just working on, let's see here, just working on today's Sculptember. In the chat, we have AES Designs. I think I fixed the Patreon thing. We'll have to wait for a post to check. Awesome. Well, I will, I'm going to be posting the live stream, the patron-only live stream that we did yesterday. So for the people that didn't make it, and for the people that obviously are not patrons, they can watch that on my YouTube channel. I'll make a post over on Patreon to make sure that you get that, and I'll send a link to that. I'm not finished editing that, but I'll finish it up after live streaming here, and then we can make sure that that's all going through. But awesome, glad you got it figured out. Back to today's Sculptember sculpt. So transpose tool, I love the transpose tool. It's what I use most of the time, opposed to the new Gizmo 3D up there. Just kind of old habit, as well as it's a little bit more intuitive in my opinion. Maybe not for new people just starting off. Intuitive and ZBrush do not go together whatsoever. Not words that should be said in the same sentence. But for me personally, I find it to be very intuitive, and that's probably because I've been using ZBrush for years now. and just all that practice and stuff really helps out. So yes, the transpose tool has a lot of power. That's one of the main things that I was talking about in yesterday's live stream. I got a little carried away with the transpose tool. Spoke about it a little too much, but that's fine. We had some fun. If you didn't see the time lapse, I just posted it a couple hours ago. It was of Magikarp, and like I said, I'll post the full live stream once I'm done editing that and rendering that. Since it's like 2 hours long, it'll take a little bit to get through. So we'll get that up a little bit later today. Wasn't able to join. It said video was unavailable. Yeah, I saw some other people that were having some issues. I'm not sure if it was something to do with emails used on Patreon versus emails used on YouTube not syncing up, something like that. But like I said, I'll post it up later and we'll have that up there. I've only recently moved back to Blender, from Blender to ZBrush for sculpting. The transpose tool took me a while to get used to, but I find it fairly intuitive. Well, glad you at least gave it the time of day. A lot of people see it that are just coming into 4R8 and they're like, what the heck is this garbage? And a lot of people don't even know that it's there, just because it's covered up by the new toggle up there, right? So just tap the Gizmo 3D tool up there, and you can go back to transpose. And I have that set to the shortcut of H for me, but I kind of don't really use that too often. Kind of forget it's there. Alright, so I'm talking a little too much and not sculpting enough. So let's start looking at some of this stuff that's going on. Take a look at the way this lower mouth is working. So we got this arc kind of up, a little bit of a divot there, and then we can use our mask lasso tool, my favorite form of masking inside of ZBrush, just for some really quick stuff. Do that again, soften that mask just a little bit, and let's use move with back face masking to get a little bit of that rounded shape back there. So you can start to play with that. And that move back face masking is something I use on most of my brushes as a way to keep from bleeding through if you're working on very thin geometry, or if you're working with your move brush and you only want those forward facing polygons to be affected, which you saw there when I was dragging this, it was pulling that bottom up, and I didn't want that, so we turned that on real quick and messed with that. So we'll adjust a bunch of stuff here. And by the way, I haven't mentioned how long I'm going to be streaming here. I'm probably only going to be able to stream for, I'm thinking, only 1 hour today. I would like to stream again tomorrow around the same time, but today I got to head out of here in maybe an hour. It depends. I am meeting with someone, so depending on how they're running on their schedule, we'll see. So we might have a little bit of extra time. I'll let you guys know when it's getting close. So let's start to just work on these basic forms. I'm just using a combination of clay tubes, trim dynamic, and the move brush for the most part for these basic shapes. You can see that the nose kind of goes up and has this cylindrical shape, so we can kind of start to build that up as that wraps around, and we can try to conform that a little bit better. What I like to do typically when I'm working on a sculpt in the very beginning, early stages, I like to work very primitively, as well as attempt to get as many parts and pieces in there as quick as I possibly can. What's good about that is it allows you the ability to kind of reference these parts and pieces against one another. So as we kind of get these parts and pieces in there, some of the proportions and stuff will make more sense. It's a lot easier maybe if you soloed out this portion of the image to reference that by itself. But when it's in working with all these other parts and pieces, like I said, it gets a little difficult, so we'll mess with that. Throw in a tail back here. I was thinking about how I wanted to do that. We can throw in a quick sphere and then extend that. We could also use a curved tube brush to get that, but got a little overlapping. That's no big deal. We should be able to correct that fairly quickly here. So let's auto groups, and we only need one of those, so we'll grab that. And I'm just going to Dynamesh this here in a sec after I inflate it a little bit. So we'll come on down here into deformation and find inflate, slide that up, and I want to match the thickness of the head. I'm going to try to blend all that together, but right now keep it as a separate piece. Let's delete our subdivision levels so we can mirror and weld, and it might not look like it made any difference, but now they're perfectly symmetrical. And I'll just Dynamesh so that I can actually, well, I'm just going to Z-remesh very, very low so that I can get some now very clean and symmetrical topology. And I shouldn't say very clean, but more clean would be the correct term. So let's see here. Yo, dude, you should make channel art for YouTubers. That's not a bad idea. By channel art, do you mean stuff for their banners and similar stuff like that, or are you talking about like sculpt a YouTuber? Because I've definitely thought about doing stuff like that. I enjoy sculpting people and doing some stylized characters a lot of the time. When does the August content go out? So let's see here. So August content. Now I'm not sure if are you the one that had their. So August content went out on September, the first week in September, I think maybe on the 4th. So the August content has already gone out. If you paid for the month of August on Patreon, then you should already have that. But if your payment method was having trouble going through, which I believe that was you that was having that issue, then you can still get that. I believe I emailed you with a link to where you can acquire that content. And if you did not get that email, you can just shoot me another email after this, and I'll hook you up with another link. So let's see here. Messing with this a little bit more. The top of the head is out of whack in terms of proportion. Unfortunately, we only have one kind of view here to work with, so we can kind of interpret this how we want. But I do want to, try to get as close to this concept as we can as we work. Depending on what you're going for your practices, I found this concept image and I just liked the snake a lot. I thought it would be cool to base something off of that, so it doesn't have to be exact per se. And if your goal is to do something a little more exact, then definitely take the time to do that. But if you're just trying to practice and work on some stuff, then don't worry about it too much. It's not the end of the world, right? So we got the top portion of our head, the lower portion. The reason I split those up was so that we can get this mouth gap / cavity going on in there, as well as be able to fit some teeth up in there, split all these parts and pieces up. Can mess with this a little bit more. I'm gonna Z-remesh this lower jaw and upper jaw down to the lowest possible target poly count, 0.1, so it should be estimating around 100 polygons. But because we're mirroring across the x-axis and there's some different forms and shapes going on there, it's never going to be exactly that. It's normally over, but that's not a big deal. We can manually retop of that if we wanted to, but we're definitely not at that stage right now, so let's continue to kind of mess with some of this stuff. Let's see here. Didn't get it. My payment has gone through ages ago. They messed up my email. I'm not sure what you mean by they messed up your email. I would assume on Patreon. So if you go ahead and email me your email that you use for Patreon and your name as well, since I'm not sure who you are, as your name right here is AES Design. So send me your name, your email, and I'll send you all the months that you paid for. Definitely check your junk and spam folders, but if you're saying that Patreon messed up your email somehow, then I'm not sure. I was sending out some messages last month because someone else had a similar problem where Patreon screwed up their email, and I was able to give them theirs. So yeah, just shoot me an email and I'll definitely hook you up. All right, so looking at this, we can go ahead and think about placing eyes, think about adding teeth, nostrils as well. So let's go ahead and start thinking about some of that stuff. Let's duplicate this, throw in a sphere here. And that move brush is going to come in handy with AccuCurve so that we can pull this shape down into the basic shape of a tooth. We could also use a cylinder and taper that down into that sharp point, but this is going to work just fine, I think, for our purposes. Something nice and quick that we can kind of get into place here. So we can start to move this into position using a combination of transpose as well as our move brush. So pretty quick and easy, nice and dirty. It's how you want to keep it in the beginning for the most part. I wouldn't recommend spending a ton of time trying to get everything perfect before you are able to get all the parts and pieces in there. Like I said, it's going to help you be able to kind of cross-reference everything together, and everything starts making a lot more sense for you. We can also de-inflate. There's no de-inflate slider down here, but there is the inflate, which you can just drag down, and that's going to screw up our taper down here, so I can use that move with back face masking to thicken that up a little bit so it doesn't completely break our mesh. And that'll do for now. That'll do, pig. And looks like we have another tooth right back behind that larger fang. And I'm trying to kind of interpret what the part is in front of that, if that's like a lower or upper tooth. Not too positive. We can look at it a little bit longer. Try and figure that out. Let's see here. You were the one emailing me last night. Okay, yeah. I'll definitely hook you up right after this. No worries. As a beginner, should I use model sheets? And if couldn't get one, which view is the best? I'm not sure what you mean by if you can't get one, which view is the best. Any view that you can get, any view that you can use. I'm definitely of the camp of grab as many references as you possibly can, right? Like referencing, there's this weird idea for a lot of beginner artists, and I find it very strange. And I don't see it too much anymore, but they think using references is like cheating for their art. But you're a beginner artist and you don't have the visual mental library yet for every single thing in the world, and you probably never will. I can almost guarantee that. So yeah, use as many freaking references as you can. Like I said, I'm only using this one reference right now for this image, but we can look up some more snakes. As I proved earlier with my Googling prowess, I don't know what I would Google, like horned snake. If anybody knows any type of snake that this could be, then we can probably get a little bit better Google search results for some Google images. But yeah, definitely use as many references as you can, dude. Go ham. And if you can't find a model sheet, which a lot of the time I can't find model sheets because I'm sculpting characters, and a lot of the time it's something that I just find online, and there's not going to be a model sheet for this snake with perfect orthographic views. But what there will be is some work that I need to do to find those references and find some good references. Finding good references takes time, and it's not easy always, but it's definitely worth it, in my opinion, to put in the time to find some good references and and use those references. Study them, and it'll definitely be worth its weight in time that you put into it. Front, back, side, and 3/4 if possible. It makes it easy to begin. Yes, model sheets can help with orthographic views quite a bit, as you can kind of line some stuff up. You can take your image and overlay it over your sculpt and go from there. So yes, model sheets can definitely be super helpful in that regard. If you can find orthographic views of your whatever you're sculpting or whatever you're 3D modeling or drawing or trying to copy, if you can find orthographic references, heck yeah, use those. I think they're super useful. Let's see here. Smaug's head, the Smaug the dragon from The Hobbit, would work well for this. Fairly similar shape. Yes, it would. That would be a cool reference I could pull from, especially if I wanted to pull some new ideas and just kind of design language. But yes, the head shape, I can't picture exactly what Smaug or Smaug, however you say that, looks like off the top of my head, but yeah, he is fairly similar. So we can keep playing with this here. We can, whoa, pen stopped working there for a sec. We can block in where our eyes will be, or about where they will be. We're looking at somewhere around here. Gotta love, I think we should actually just keep them like this, just the derpy snake boy. My snack. Where'd my snack image go? Here it is. Here's actually what we're working on today, guys. I've been lying the whole time. This is our beautiful snack, or maybe this one's got a hat. He's got a Luffy's hat from One Piece, so he's a hero snack. I'm gonna move these out a little bit because we have this brow shape that's going on back there as well, so we can get that in there with a curved tube brush, I'm thinking. And try to wrap that around, and that'll be good. I just need to get a little bit of geometry in there that I can work with, and then I can kind of adjust it from there. So we can kind of, let's see, try to blend this in, pull it down, and we can adjust the brow shape to actually have some eyelids and stuff that are holding that eyeball in place. Gotta have it make sense a little bit, right? So we can kind of blend that top part in as well. Let's see here. Why did you censor the naked ladies on the wall? I'm not sure what that's in reference to. On the wall. The naked ladies on the wall. I have no idea what you're talking about. Gary, hey, how's it going? Welcome. Glad you can make it, my friend. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. As well as welcome Daniel, who's talking about naked ladies on the wall. If I censor anything, it's most likely because, are you talking about this naked lady? my figures? I have the male and the female. I've got the male one over here. If you're talking about my figures. If I ever censor anything, I don't remember. I'm not much of one for censoring. But if I ever did censor anything, it's because I didn't want to get like some strike on some social media account. I was watching the live stream yesterday. The chat wasn't working. Will you change that in the future? Yeah, of course. I'll definitely. The chat's working now, so I'm really not sure what was going on with the chat yesterday, but I know that there were some issues, and some people had some email problems where their email on their YouTube account wasn't the same email that they were using on Patreon, and just some stuff didn't sync up there. So when they tried to join, it was showing that it wasn't working for them. But yeah, for the next one, we'll try to work out all those kinks. Absolutely. My goal was not have a chat, and I had a feeling that the emails thing was gonna not work out so great, which is why I made that post beforehand that if you have a different email account for like YouTube or something, send me that. I figured that would maybe work out, but maybe not. Maybe we'll figure something else out for the next one. I also created an event for the YouTube streaming service, which is a little bit of a different functionality than what I'm doing right now. So maybe I'll just use the same service that I'm using right now and try that out. So we'll try and get it figured out for the next one for sure. I think he's talking about the black panels on your wall. My naked ladies back there. I guess you can't see the ones back here. Yeah, I got a bunch of soundproof panels all over my walls. Love how clean your models look. Thank you very much, Sandro. Let's see here. I was the one twittering you. Didn't know how to contact. Do you have a Discord or something? Yes. Look on my YouTube channel, the right part of my banner, bottom right part of my banner image. There's a bunch of links there. Check that out. And there's one that says ZBrush Discord. There's almost 1,000 people in it now. Go check it out, and you can chat with people. Ask questions if you're struggling. There's a help section. There's a section for posting about contests, just general discussion, stuff for ZBrush, all sorts of 3D printing, whatever you're working on. I don't know if you guys saw this guy. I got him close by. But I recently 3D printed this little Bulbasaur I was working on. I made a, he's hollow on the inside, so you can see that. But I made a Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. And I just did a full color sandstone print through shapeways.com and got him printed out. So if there's some cool stuff that I work on in the future that's maybe not Pokemon related that I print, and you guys are maybe interested in that, I might open up like a little store and try to sell like a few of them for like $10 or something like that. Shapeways is really expensive, so I'm not sure. There's like shipping, and it was expensive to get this guy. It was like $15 for this little thing, so it's pretty expensive. So I'm not sure that it's really worth putting stuff up on there. But if there's like if there's a sculpt that people are like just dying to get, which I find very hard to believe, I need this on my desk. Then maybe at that point. But until then, we'll pass on making expensive Shapeway models to be printed. It's just a little too expensive, and I don't think anybody's willing to pay. I mean, I almost, for my own work, I was almost like, that's expensive. I don't want to pay that much. But yeah, so we'll see. But I had fun working on that little guy. What 3D printer do you have? I used to work with a bunch of 3D printers, SLA, ABS, and PLA stuff. But we even had this is at my old job when I was working on toys and stuff, we even had a 3DP, which is like a 12, I'm sorry, it's a 1 meter cubed print space, which is pretty big, and that's PLA and ABS. But SLA is definitely where it's at. If you can get some kind of resin printer, working with like a form too. But I have a Bean 3D printer coming in February, I think, and that's an SLA printer. It's a Kickstarter project that I've backed. It's by the same guys that ended up working on the Titan, which is a DLP printer, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. And that was a very popular, very expensive printer, but it's one of those Kickstarters that actually worked out. 3D printers and Kickstarter and crowdfunding are normally poop. Normally I wouldn't trust them, but these guys were already successful twice, so it was definitely worth backing for the price that I paid for it. So you can check that out. I think if you just Google Bean 3D printer, you can see what it looks like and see its specs. But I'll be getting that in about February of next year. But in the past, I've worked with a lot of different 3D printers. I don't own any 3D printers right now. So give it let's see, 5-ish months, and we'll see what we can cook up. Couple questions here. Is fan art a good way to practice and boost your portfolio? Absolutely. I always say create art of, if we're talking about 3D modeling, it's a lot easier. Let me rewind a bit. A concept artist, that's a job in and of itself for a reason. So you as a 3D artist, 3D modeler, digital sculptor, don't feel like you always have to create your own IP like right then and there on the spot. It's a big chunk of time in that process, especially if stuff that exists like this is already a million times better than something that I could design personally. So I'm not going to waste the time to do a subpar job when I enjoy fan art of all sorts of different stuff and finding all sorts of cool designs and sketches online. So this is definitely one of those cases where I like to say, make what you want, make what you like, sculpt what you enjoy. I like Pokemon a lot. Or at least I used to when I was younger. Pokemon's still cool. I really enjoy a lot of the designs from like the first and second gen. After that, it went a little downhill. We have like keychains and stuff that are Pokemon now. It's getting a little out of hand. But so that's why I sculpted Magikarp yesterday. Magikarp doesn't get enough love. There's that app Magikarp Jump as well, which was pretty lame. But yes, Magikarp. That's what we made in the live stream yesterday. So I did that not because it was super challenging or I wanted to make something Pokemon. Well, I guess I did, but it's because I like Pokemon, because it's an intellectual property that I grew up with and I enjoy, and it was a lot of fun to work on. So definitely make what you want. Gary, you joined the Discord. Awesome. If anybody else wants to do that, it's the ZBrush Discord. It's in my links on my YouTube channel. Check it out. A ton of awesome people on there. It's really cool. So you're going to UV map this. No splashing allowed. Sad Magikarp. Yeah, sad Magikarp. Magikarp's just sad in general, I think. Am I going to UV this? We're nowhere near a stage where I could UV this, considering we're in ZBrush with a bunch of polygons split up into many parts that I'm going to blend later and Dynamesh together. So UVing would come a lot farther down the pipeline, and because this is just a daily sculpt, no, I am not planning on UVing this. If this is your first time checking out my stuff, I typically just do a bunch of, right now it's sculptember, right? If I think a lot of people here are participating in sculptember, just doing some daily sculpts in ZBrush, or maybe whatever other software you're using, Mudbox, Blender, or maybe something a little more expensive like Freeform, but I doubt there's many Freeform users out there or people that even know what that is. But yeah, no UVs today, and no UVs for all of September most likely. For most of this stuff, it's going to stick in ZBrush and stick in good. Let's move some teeth around and try to get these into position a little bit better. I want to inflate this a little bit more. I was de-inflating it earlier, but now it's a little too thin for my liking. We can duplicate this, use our transpose tool, slide that guy back. Look how tiny that tooth is. How am I gonna do that? Well, the transpose tool's magic, right? Can do all sorts of nifty little stuff with it. Just using the move function up here, you can grab that end piece and squash and stretch geometry. But what I could also do, I could grab a slice curve brush, slice that off, delete hidden, and close holes, and we have a nice little mini tooth here that we can, move up into place and get into position. Find a nice place for this little baby tooth. And we will mess with these teeth more as we go. But again, let's make sure we can get all these parts and pieces in here. Can block out where this nostril is going to be, just using our clay tubes brush real quick. Something simple and quick, just to build up some form as well as push in where that nostril will be. Just looking at our reference here, we can mess with that. And right now I am at close to 500,000 polygons, but I have subdivision levels which we can step through to make changes at different resolutions, which is always nice. It's the way that I like to work most of the time here. So definitely use those to your advantage. Let's see here. Are you doing... I just felt something really sticky on my shirt, and I thought I spilled something on me, but I don't know what that would be. My brain... I didn't sleep much last night. My brain's like... Oh gosh, let's see here. Any Digimons in the future? Sure, absolutely. Let's do some Agumon. That's the only Digimon, or Wargreymon. That's like the only Digimon I can name off the top of my head. Or if you have a Digimon that you think would be cool, tweet it at me or put it on Discord or something. What's one thing that's taken you the most time to complete? I have no idea what's taken me the most time to complete. Stuff was a lot slower when I was beginning. I did an F-14 pilot for the Museum of Flight in Seattle, Washington. That took a long time. That was a longer project. I believe he's on my art station if you want to check that out, or if you want to scroll through my Instagram forever to find it. But yeah, if you want to go to my art station, you can see him. He took a long time. I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks of full-time work, but like 40-hour weeks. But that also, I was also doing other projects and other stuff, so that wasn't necessarily exactly 40 hours a week working on just that project. Are you doing Sculptember? Yes, I am doing Sculptember. You render inside ZBrush or Keyshot. I use both. For my Sculptember stuff, I'm rendering all those inside of ZBrush, though. Why use Gizmo? Transpose is so annoying. Transpose is where it's at. That's how I grew up using ZBrush. For the past 3-ish plus years, Transpose is awesome. Transpose is dope. You should learn how to use it if you don't. It's got a lot of functionality in there that people just don't know about. Like, you can make some really interesting deformations very quickly. All sorts of stuff, all sorts of goodies. Let's change our quick save time. Not that long. We'll do 15 minutes and restoration 55. Okay, so back to these nostrils. Patamon, the little orange flying potato. Okay, I think I do know which one you're talking about. He's essentially his color scheme is cut in half across like his belly. Top is orange, bottom is white. I believe that is Patamon. I'm not gonna Google it right now, but yeah, okay, I'll do a Patamon. That's a good one. I like Patamon. It's cool. Yeah, if you guys have any other suggestions for things that would be cool to sculpt, or any ideas that you guys have, you can just post them in the comments here, or tweet them at me, or however you enjoy talking to people. But I'm here now, so you can just suggest them. I'm gonna do a quick tongue, so just a quick insert of a sphere. Hide this top headpiece. Snakes have those grody forked tongues that we all know and love. So we can... I don't know if all snakes have forked tongues. It's probably not true that all do. You can even turn on transparent here, ghost mode. Get a little bit of an S curve. You can't really see his tongue in this concept, but we can take liberties with it and do whatever the heck we want. It's our sculpt, right? You're making your own thing, so you can do whatever the heck you want. I'm gonna guess. Let's see here. I want to put some more teeth up here. It's a little hard to interpret what's going on in the front portion of this mouth just because of the angle that we're viewing this from. But we're we can give our snake some buck teeth. We can also, you know, if we want, we can look at some real snakes, right? So I don't know what kind of snake with horns. I don't really know exactly what kind of snake that would be. It kind of looks like this guy. I mean, obviously this is a stylized rendition of some kind of horned viper. There we go. There's a name. Let's do that. Let's look up horned viper. That's not how you spell horned. Let's see if we can get some teeth. Let's look at some teethers. So obviously there's some stylization going on here. I don't know if snakes only have these top and bottom fangs, and like I said, I'm not super well versed in snakes, but man, that's so cool and grody all at the same time. Oh gosh. Alright, getting distracted looking at some nifty snakes. I love reptiles, and I used to be really into sculpting like reptilian style creatures and stuff. This is PLA. This was 3D printed on a 12-inch cubed, gosh, Fusion F306, I believe. So you can get some pretty good resolution out of PLA. I'm not sure how well that's kind of showing up on camera in terms of focus, but yeah, I think you get the idea. So that was a fun one to work on, but yes, I love working on reptiles and doing stuff like that. All right. So looking at this guy, we're starting to get all those basic shapes in there. Of course, snakes only have, at least the horned viper has like his 2 fangs here. I'm not sure if these are also smaller fangs. It's really hard to kind of interpret what's going on here without me taking some time to like pause the stream and go do some research, but we're gonna go for some visual appeal here. So staying true to the actual creature in real life isn't necessarily our biggest worry, our biggest constraint. Can try to make some room for these teeth a little bit more. Not liking the shape of these fangs. Try to do something with those. I'm just Z-remeshing, very low poly. That's what I do most of the time, just to simplify a form very quickly. You've probably seen me do that a bunch in my other videos. This fang is coming down to about halfway down the bottom of this lower lip, so we can shrink that. Can also adjust the way that this fang is kind of positioning itself here. Can make some changes there. Z-remesh that really low as well. Let's see here. What's better, DeviantArt or ArtStation? Not even a question. Definitely ArtStation. I won't go into that, but ArtStation is where professional artists posts, and the good stuff floats on top very well. Whereas in DeviantArt, not always the good stuff floats on top, and you might know what I mean by that. According to Google, all snakes have split tongues. They take in fragrances and analyze them in their palate. Well, all snakes have forked tongues. Thank you, Gary. We now know to make a forked tongue for our sneaky snack. DeviantArt is a bit dead, blah, blah, blah. ArtStation is the way to go. Too much randomness on DeviantArt. Yes. All well said. All right, so I'm going to use that Acu curve, go on back to that to pull that fang out, and real quick, as I put this into posiciones and inflate it, let me check how we're doing on time real quick. See what we got here. So we're about 50 minutes in now, so let me see here. I can probably definitely go for another 30 before I gotta jump out of here, before I gotta bounce. So just to let you guys know, I'm gonna be heading out in 30-ish minutes, and if we get lucky, maybe a little bit longer. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the schedule. Messing a little bit more with this nostril. Instead of using something like your standard brush to push in, you could also mask out an area. And try to maybe pull that down a little bit here. Soften that mask a little bit. And use your transpose tool, or maybe your 3D gizmo if you're more likely to use that. Push that shape in. And Dynamesh it. How we doing on subdivs? All right. So before we do that, let's use our move brush, backface masking, and get that into place there. Dynamesh. This arm on my Cintiq is squeaking so bad, and it's annoying the crap out of me, and I need to like grease it or do something before I go freaking insane. But I don't know if you guys can, if that's being picked up on the mic, but sometimes when I give it a little action, it stops squeaking. That sounded wrong. Messing with this nostril. If you see stuff disappearing real quick, that's just solo mode down here. It's my G hotkey. I've talked about that many times on my old streams and my tutorial videos. You can set that up very easily if you want to look up how to do some hotkeys or anything like that. You can start to build these shapes up around the eyes. You can see that this part of the forehead as well as the neck are kind of blending closer together. So we can bring this neck more up to that brow line. Try and get that to make a bit more sense. Looks like it's kind of got this angle, about a 45-ish for connecting between the head here. But that's just kind of the way this jaw design is working there, which is very interesting. I like this jaw design quite a bit. You can look at some other cool reptiles. I probably, most definitely, will not be able to finish this guy on stream today, but I will be posting the full time lapse of me working on this character a bit later. So don't worry if you missed anything from beforehand or after I'm done streaming. I'll post all that up. I'll also post the full stream here for those that weren't able to make it. And I'll post the patron-only live stream that I did yesterday as soon as I am done editing that later today. Got a lot of stuff to do today. Had a lot of stuff to do yesterday as well. We'll keep going here. It's Sculptember, right? It's supposed to be busy. You're supposed to be working on stuff every single day, trying to get as much done as you possibly can. If you guys are working on Sculptember, I'd love to see what you're working on. If you want to post your work in the share your work tab over on the ZBrush Discord, that would be awesome. There's a ton of really helpful people over there giving critiques if you're interested in that, or if not, you can just post your work and share it and be a part of the community. We always appreciate that as well. Michael Buckley, great news, he says. What's the great news? That we're going to be sculpting all month long. I'm going to be trying to do a bunch more live streams here as well, so we can try to share some fun stuff. Have to catch up with you later. Have to nip out for a bit. Nip out. I don't know if I've heard that one before, but I like it. I might use that. All right, we'll see you later. I'll hook you up with the stuff that you missed out on. I'll send you an email as soon as we're done streaming here. So no worries. We'll catch you later. Enjoy the rest of your day. or night. I'm not sure where you live. Alright, so we got some nostril changes, some head changes. The eyes are looking a bit too low for our liking here, so let's move that up. What's great about ZBrush, splitting things into parts is not the end-all be-all. We have transpose master. Can T-pose that really quick. Make sure we turn our X symmetry back on. Then we can make large-scale changes. And I want to mask off a few things here. Don't want to affect, whoops. Make sure we got the right tools selected. Here we go. Mask those. Alright, so I'm just going to do a move brush. Very large. Let's see here. Alright. And looking at this, can even turn on our perspective to attempt to get a little bit better view. I want to narrow this snout. If I narrow this snout, so you see the shape going on here, it's not only, we've been looking at it in orthographic from one view, but we also want to be able to bring that in, narrow that snout out, narrow that snout out, as well as push this up. So we're going to be adjusting a bunch of stuff here. But that's what's great about trying to get all those parts and pieces in there as quickly as possible. Like I said, it gives you the opportunity to kind of judge and reference each thing against itself. It's going to be very helpful. And for the lower jaw, we'll adjust that as well so that we can avoid this tooth here. And it looks like it's just kind of being affected in this very small area. Almost like the tooth is depressing the skin on the outside of the jaw there. But we can see a cast shadow there from the tooth, so it looks like there's even more room there. But we'll see what we can actually get with what we have in 3D space. A lot of the time you'll find that stuff in 2D isn't considered for how it would work in reality. You can cheat a little bit with perspective, and like this back tooth here, the way this is in this nostril flaring out, I mean, this is like really, in my opinion, it looks really warped just by the perspective that's happening there. I mean, this tooth should be much smaller. It shouldn't even be visible behind the jaw that's happening there. So just be aware of little things like that. It's not always exactly how it would be in 3D space in like a real situation when you're trying to convert something from 2D to 3D. Lockshade says, first time catching you live. Well, thanks for catching me. You gotta catch them all. Welcome to the live stream. Glad you can make it, dude. Or dudette. Or whatever you would like me to call you. I'm going to call you Lockshades, though. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. We are working on our sculptember for today. If people are just popping in here right now, just kind of hanging out. Like I said a little bit ago, got about 30-ish, probably closer to 20-ish minutes left before I got to bounce out of here. But we can continue to work on today's speed sculpt / sculptember. If you're participating in sculptember, I was just saying how you could also come over to the ZBrush Discord and post your work over there and hang out. There's a ton of awesome people over there posting their work for sculptember and just kind of practice and whatever they're working on, looking for critique or help or, you know, whatever you're looking for over there. And I really like looking at this, what's going on with the neck here. This shape is just like, for the jaw there, I don't know, it's just really cool. Let's try to get that in there. So pull this out, really just kind of try to block that out with the clay tubes brush, very large. Form changes, I like to make very dramatic strokes and changes, and then from there I'll adjust them and knock them down. So I like to push push something farther than it needs to be, and then from there realize that, oh yes, I pushed it too far, but now I can kind of take away from that. So if you work with like layers in ZBrush, you can do them at 100%, or like in Photoshop, it's the same thing. And then you kind of like lower the opacity from there. That's kind of like the main idea that I try to go for a lot of the time. And try to adjust this with our move brushers. Because we only have one view here, it's a little difficult to interpret everything that's going on, but what we can do is try, and I still have perspective on. So what's super difficult about 3D is just trying to make everything look good from so many views, right? 2D is 2D is so easy. No, it's not. I'm not saying that at all. 3D, you just gotta take so many angles into consideration. 2D has its own challenges, which is why I am a 3D boy. You can adjust this. You can get a little bit of this curve. Control tapping on your masked mesh will soften that mask for you if you're unaware of that. You can start to mess with some of these shapes a little bit in here, as well as blending them into the head. And of course we're going to merge all these down into one piece eventually, but it's not quite yet. We're not there quite yet, so we'll keep playing with this stuff. I really like just the shapes that are going on here with the neck, so I want to try to capture some of that. And we can use our move brush again, or even just very quickly clay tubes that up to add some thickness, get it more cylindrical there. And Dynamesh, if you want to do that to have a little bit lower topology to work with, or even that ZRemesher again to mess with that. Let's see here. Indie Respawn, first time catching your stream. Missed the first 12 days of Sculptember. I suck. I missed the first 5 days of Sculptember, I think. I think it was like 5 or 6. So no, I mean, it's not about like doing the whole month. It's about doing the practice. If you want, you can do it for as long as you want. I was personally thinking about continuing after September, Sculptember. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see what we'll be doing by the end of this month, but we're going to try to push through and do the whole month here. I happen to be doing something similar, but really shape-oriented. Most of the stuff I do is shape-oriented in terms of sculptural detail and form. So if by shape-oriented you maybe mean primitive shapes, maybe that's what you mean. I'm not too certain. You can post your stuff in Discord, though. I'd love to check out what you're working on. What's this most used window you sometimes open in the center of the screen? Sculptober. Also, yes, Sculptober. It would have made more sense, I think, to make Sculptober, since so many months end in ember, like September, November, December. Anything could be Sculptember, right? This most used thing here, it's this Follygon menu. What? It's just a hotkey that I have for this menu to pop it up. You'll see Follygon, my sister. Follygon lights up here whenever I press this hotkey. It just pops open that menu wherever I have my mouse. And it's just my most used stuff. It's just part of my custom UI, which you can acquire from my Patreon. If you would really want to check that out, you can. There's a link somewhere on my YouTube. But yes, where were we? We were messing with this neck before I got distracted by talking about my sister, Follygon. I'm just using the pinch brush to kind of block out where these little spikers, these spike ridged, will go. I would like to show you guys some VDM stuff. I was thinking about doing that, but I'm not sure we'll have enough time. This stream, it's So if you're interested in new 408 features, I did a video recently on VDMs. It's pretty short, it's like 5 minutes. It's pretty succinct and goes into all the basic stuff that you need to know for making VDMs in ZBrush. So if you're interested in that, you can find it on my channel. It was a recent video, maybe like my past 5-ish videos. I'm not really too certain. You can go check that out though if you're interested in that. But yes, VDMs are awesome. If you don't know what those are, that's a vector displacement mesh. Really cool for creating displaced mesh details, such as some spikes or what have you. You can use it for a ton of different stuff, not just spikes. Let's see here. Follygon plus some bearded emoji guy. I love it. It's beautiful. Do you like sculpting hard surface? I find it harder than organic by a lot. If I'm sculpting hard surface, I use the ZModeler brush in all of its glory here in ZBrush. I enjoy doing hard surface stuff. I have that, man, I'm just going to keep mentioning, let's see here. I'm just going to keep mentioning videos from my channel until you guys go watch them. ZBrush Hard Surface Modeling Splatoon 2. Guys, let's just, hey, why am I working on stuff when we can just, you know, watch me work on stuff with you? I can just watch you guys. We can all watch it together. Very Mystery Science Theater. So this is a video, ZBrush Hard Surface Modeling, of just me using the ZModeler brush. That's how I create those headphones from for my Marina character from Splatoon. I enjoy doing that stuff. Yes, I do enjoy it. Is it harder? I don't know. It just kind of depends what you're making. If you're making some very difficult details for hard surface sculpting and you need to spend a lot of time, then it's difficult. But the same is definitely applicable to organic modeling, right? I think we can all agree on that. So we got some nifty scales going on here, kind of cascading down the back in these lines. I'm thinking about how I want to do that. It could be something as simple as throwing a quick mask over here and then popping up the shape, or you know, we could even mask a little bit more and just move it up and adjust it like so. So we could do something like that. But what I would like to do instead, there's always a billion ways to do anything in ZBrush. So I didn't mean to delete my subdivision levels there. What I meant to do was go to projection and do a quick little, not projection, gosh, I am all over the place. Not projection, but extraction, the one below that, sorry. Let's flip that. So we want to extract that geometry there. And we can get a nifty little scale, and we can adjust the thickness here, so we can try maybe half that-ish, and I'll keep double on for this and click accept. Get a nice, neat little scale here. And he's got polygroups for us, and when we have polygroups, that means we can Z-remesh with keep polygroups on. And check this out. When I do that, it's going to keep this nice, clean separation there for us. Do that even lower, and now we have a low poly, clean enough scale. And we can make some scales cascading down this back as we add some little spikes in there as well. So a little trick there with extraction and Z-remesh. I use that quite often for stuff that I'm working on. Alright, so checking this out real quick here, if you want to do some hard surface stuff. Fusion 360, I've heard good things about. I think I played around with it like once, but like years ago. So changed your workflow, that's awesome. It's always good to find a new tool that completely changes your workflow. Hello, oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher your name so bad. I'm not even gonna try. I'm just gonna call you Ham Boy. Hello, Ham Boy, and or girl, or friend. Hello, Ham friend. It's 2017. We accept all friends now, don't we? Hello, Ham friend. How are you? How goes it? Welcome to the live stream. We're working on today's Sculptember. Just hanging out, making a sneaky snack. This is our single reference. It's a very, very awesome concept. For the people that just are popping in, this is a concept by John Polidora. Go follow John on ArtStation or wherever he posts art, and you also have an account on there. He's an awesome artist. Got some really cool stuff. I downloaded that image forever ago, and I'm just now getting around to making something for it. So he's got a lot of cool work. So if you find something that he's got, or another concept artist that you guys like, find some of his work that you like, post it in the ZBrush Discord if you're working on something. It's always cool to share other artists' work as well. Like High School Musical, right? We're all in this together. That's right, guys. I know High School Musical. I know Zachy boy, the Efferon master, man. I know I've never seen High School Musical. I just know the song, alright? It's very catchy. It's not my fault that I enjoy it. It's their fault that they made a catchy song. It's not my fault, guys. Alright, this nose, this nostril, from this angle, can't see that it's popping up, but it looks like from this back angle that it's like extruding out and having kind of a similar spike ridge kind of thing going on there. So what I want to do is, I was talking about yesterday in the patron-only live stream, and for those of you that are here that were able to check that out, and I'm sorry for those that weren't, that aren't patrons, but that'll be posted later for you guys. I was talking about Move and AccuCurve. It's great for creating horns and spikes, and maybe some spikes like we got on this nose here. So we can create something like that, and maybe not quite that angle. We can try something a little bit better. I think that's pretty good for our purposes for a beginning stage, and we can do some stuff to thicken that up and ease into that curve a little bit better. Can mask it off, and whoa, careful when you're masking with symmetry on. I had the mask on the other side in that mask, so you'll see that gets unmasked because that's over there. So just be aware of that while you're working. It's always fun when something happens in ZBrush and you're completely confused and have no idea what's going on. So it's nice to try to figure that stuff out from time to time. ZBrush and, like I said earlier, ZBrush and the word intuitive aren't necessarily the first things that you always think of. All right. Trying to adjust that a little bit, and we'll mess with that more. I'll probably mess with that a little bit more off a stream, but I've shown a lot of techniques for these blocking out stages, for these getting all these parts and pieces in together so that we can kind of reference them all together. But as far as time, we have about 10-ish minutes, it looks like. But I haven't gotten a text yet from my meetup, so guess what? We're gonna hang out a little bit longer, real quick here. Live Boolean in ZBrush. Somebody's saying check that out. Indie Respawn is saying check out Live Boolean in ZBrush. Definitely check that out if you haven't used it. It's this little guy up here. You can do all sorts of nifty stuff with that. I think I did a tutorial on that in my How to ZBrush series. Right after ZBrush 4R8 came out. There's some cool stuff on that. ZBrush and intuitive. That's right. That's right. I said it. One of the most painful software switches you made was Maya to Blender. God, that sucked for a while. Now I'm comfortable in Blender. KSA John says, what up? John, what up? What's going on with you? Welcome to the stream. Glad you could pop in for a little bit. Probably not going to be in here too much longer. I keep saying that, but I don't get the text, so you know we'll go until we have to leave. So this kind of scale pattern that we got going on here, there's multiple ways to go about that, and maybe another VDM would be an even better way to kind of reproduce this this detail, or an insert mesh or something like that. There's a lot of different tactics for that, but in terms of time, I don't want to sit here and make an insert multi-mesh brush or an insert mesh brush and then create it on a curve and do all this stuff where I could be showing you guys some more new stuff to 4R8 and some of the stuff that's more applicable to what I'm doing here. So we'll stick with what we got for now. So we got a little bit of some scaling action going on here. Just gonna adjust this in a little bit, duplicate it again, and slide along that curve. We can see it going down into the mouth. That's always nice. Yeah, we can get a nice little scaled pattern flowing down the back this way. Not too difficult either. And we can come on down here and yoink that up and out of the mouth. And I'm just turning on dynamic smooth. That's your D hotkey when you don't have any subdivision levels, so active points are not changing, but dynamic is being turned on down here, which is new to 4R7, not 4R8. I believe it was like 4R7, maybe P3 or something like that. In all honesty, I can't remember at this point. There's been so many updates and releases. But yeah, we can mess with refining a bunch of these parts and pieces, stuff like changing the way this flows around the eye, working more with the brow, the eyelid here. There's a lot of stuff we got to do. These, I mean, it's just a daily sculpt, right? But we want to take the time to practice and learn while we're going. And I definitely apologize that, you know, normally I work a lot faster than this, but it's hard to sculpt and talk at the same time. For me, I am terrible at trying to sculpt and talk at the same time, and trying to show you guys some new cool stuff if I can. But I am trying. I'm trying my best, guys. Trying my best. Looking at this ridge, I've built this up too much at this point. We can just trim dynamic it, blast it back down, use a move with back face masking. What I want to do is smooth that shape out. Oh man, that's beautiful. That's some beautiful geo. It's okay, we got Dynamesh. We got Dynamesh, guys. We can fix it. Alright. And what I wanted to do here was trim this down, trim it down, trim and blend, trim, 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 trim. So that's the trim dynamic brush, or at least my subtle variation of that brush. It's great for building up and cleaning up form very quickly. You can get some cool stuff, cool results with it, as well as the Alt function on the pinch brush is very useful, and I use that quite often as well. Let's see here. Lots of messages, lots of new messages. Modo is rough, you hear. Modo is pretty cool. I've seen some stuff like that. It's pretty akin to Maya and Max. Let's see what else we got here. What is the thing which you use always? My most used stuff is all right here in this little pop-up menu. So all the goodies in here is all my most used stuff. Yeah, all of it. I use a lot of stuff often, or all the stuff that you can see on my menu down here. All these brushes, materials, all these things going on down here. I used to sculpt with that basic material a lot, but then I spent a long time kind of creating my own version of a material that I could use a lot. Let's see here. There are a lot of tutorials. Digital Tutors has one. Digital Tutors might have a tutorial, but my tutorial's free, and Digital Tutors cost money, at least I think. But my the stuff that like my 3D models, I give those away on Patreon for like tier rewards, and those are paid. But all my videos are, all my tutorials and stuff are free. So maybe that's why you should watch them. No, I put some effort into those tutorials, just a little bit. Cool, some freelance work. My stream is dropping frames. Oh no. Hopefully that's just on your end. I would try refreshing the page. I hope that's not. My stream health is green, good on my side, at least right now. So let me know, guys, if the stream is being weird for you guys. Hey Folly, have you ever tried using the snake hook brush with a low intensity to move big shapes instead of move, or move topo, which is the move topological brush? I have the snake hook brush down here on my menu, and yes, I do use a snake hook brush quite often. You can use the small snake hook brush to obviously get some interesting shapes, but you can use, like he just said, KSA, I'm sorry, not KSA John, but Indie Respawn, like Indie Respawn just said, you can use the large version of this brush, lower your intensity, and make some big form changes like that. And yes, I do use that quite often as well, but the move brush, by turning up the intensity on that, can be just as good as well. I'll have to give Modo a chance, says Indie Respawn. Yeah, I think Modo is pretty expensive, but I know it goes on sale like almost all the time. Like every month, I think it goes on sale for a pretty significant reduction in price. So I would, if you're thinking about buying Modo or trying it out, I'm not sure if they have a free trial. I'm not a Modo spokesperson or user, but definitely if you want to buy it, wait for it to go on sale. Like I said, it goes on sale like every month, from what I remember. Not sure if that's still a thing. I would think so. So if you're ever worried about z-remeshing, don't forget that you can z-remesh or remesh your topology and project some stuff back on there. So if I z-remesh this really low, we lose a lot of form and detail, and not really detail because I'm not going for detail yet, but we lose a lot of form and shape here. But we can clean it up by projecting that back, but in this case, I will a little bit. So we'll project, subdivide, project. I have both of these pieces visible right now, but I do have solo mode on so that I don't have to worry about looking at that. So you can project while you have solo mode on, if you don't know that. That's a nice little trick that I use quite often. And by quite often, I mean every time I do that. So we can adjust some more stuff here. I still have back face masking on. The reason I remeshed that real quick, just automatically, was so that I could get this jaw and pull it out. I want to pull this shape, wrap it around like we got going on there. There's a lot of stuff that we need to change and do here to kind of get all these shapes working together. There's a lot of work in sculpting, huh? There's a lot of different things you got to do. We can continue to work on this. And we're going to blend this into the neck here eventually. Not quite yet, because we still have a lot of changes we want to make. But we can keep messing with this here. Try to line this up a little bit better. Somebody was saying earlier that my sculpts look really clean, and a lot of people struggle with that in the beginning. I definitely did, but just being able to control your surface and what's going on with your surface in ZBrush it takes time. So if everything that you're making is looking really dirty, don't feel bad about it. That's how I was when I started, and a lot of my stuff was for a very long time, and it took me a long time before I figured out how to clean stuff up a lot. Making clean geometry. Well, I learned how to do it very well because I was forced to, because I was working on toys at the time. And if you're sculpting for toys, dear God, do they have to be perfect for the owner's IP, which it makes sense. But like, man, just the little tiniest bit of unevenness in a surface, and it's like, nope, keep working on it. We're not there yet. We're not at the level that we need to be. But so I was kind of forced to learn how to get to that level of cleanliness based on my career at the time. But yes, I'm gonna keep blending some of this, as well as adjusting some of these shapes. Think about merging this together and how these shapes are going to work together here. I'll have to Dynamesh and smooth those out, but we'll get to that eventually. Moto's actually on sale right now for 33% off for 6 months. Like I said, Moto goes on sale pretty often from what I remember. 500 euros a year. $500 a year. That's more expensive than ZBrush if you think about it. But yes, that is cheaper than 3 times cheaper than Maya. I don't currently own Maya, so I luckily don't have to pay for that. Let's see here. I cannot see that concept art properly, but does it have a cheek or some kind of linkage on the side of the neck? You're talking about this portion right here, I believe. That's what I was just trying to get a little bit more by previously. We had that was just like that, but I've been building this shape up, and we're gonna keep messing with it and getting it closer. I'm not sure if it's more of like a jawline or what, but I was looking at some sneaky snacks here. We got some horny vipers. I don't know if it's the bone structure that's going on there or when they flare out their fangs. But I'll probably do some more. Oh, that's not good. I'll do some more looking at some snakes when I jump off the stream here and have some time. I don't want to spend 15 minutes just looking at snake pictures. Is that a snake cut in half? That's grody. We don't want to see that. But yeah, just based on the shape of this snake's head, you can kind of see that it's kind of like an arrowhead or a triangle. But yes, we can mess more with that. Looking at this from like a top view, we'll blend all of this, and we'll get there. It takes time, and the more time you take, the better. I can guarantee. Most of the time, I can guarantee the better it's gonna look. What else we got here? I've been subbed to you since you had like 200 subs, Follygon. Keep on the good work. Thank you so much, KSA John. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. I'm glad you've been hanging out, sticking around. Thinking about doing some more streams here more often. So hopefully that pans out with all the sculptember stuff we got going on. And my camera's going crazy. But that's cool to hear. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I really didn't start uploading stuff to YouTube until like December last year, January this year. But I mean, it's crazy to think that there's over 2,000 people that like would want to subscribe and follow and whatever. But yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's cool. That's cool. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the Moto being on sale. That's pretty funny. Called it. I don't know if Gary's still in here, but he was saying earlier that all snakes have forked tongues. He Googled. So we now know all snakes have forked tongue ears, and we can do something here. I'll show you a cool thing how you can make really easily a forked tongue. You can smooth this out, mask it, rotate it to the left side. That's very important. The left side, and that's because we're going to mirror and weld here. Smooth this out and go down to mirror and weld. Boo-doo-doo. Look at that. Got a forked tongue already. Mirror and weld always goes from the positive to the negative axis, so if you're working across the x-axis, like I am, transform, active symmetry x-axis, it goes from the left side to the right, and then it welds those vertices, which is what you saw happening there. So yes, now we have a quick and dirty forked tongue, and we can, thin it out and do some other nifty stuff with this. We'll create some asymmetry eventually, but we don't have to do that right this second. We want to block everything out still. We're still working on getting these main shapes and proportions. We've, in the last hour and 30-ish minutes, I think we've come pretty far, when we just started at a nice old sphere here and build up all our forms and shapes. It takes time, but it's always good to kind of look back on all that stuff. So we're at 600 strokes-ish for this top head piece. That's not very many at all. Normally at this point I would be getting closer to like 1,500 or so, but like I said, talking and everything makes me a lot slower at sculpting. But that's totally cool. No worries. We'll get there. Like I said, I knew I wouldn't be able to finish this on stream. This stuff takes a while to work on. Hello, Follygon. I like that. I'm gonna start calling myself Follygon from now on. Hi, Aubrey. Aubrey Vincent Beardsley. That is a name and a half, and I love it. Sandro says, I only have 250 subs. Sad face. But man, when at least one of them comments on my vids, I am a happy man. I started off with 0 subscribers too. I think 2,000 people, when you think about it that way, it's like 2,000 real people is a lot of people. 250 people is, I think, a lot of people. I mean, I'm not making videos with the expectation that I'm gonna get 1 million views or subscribers. Like, I'm making ZBrush content because I want to, and I love working in ZBrush, and I like creating tutorials that actually have a level of quality to them, because there's a lot of really crappy tutorials out there, and I hope that I can create some quality content that actually that actually helps some people, because in all honesty, when I started using ZBrush, I was buying, I don't have any of the books on my desk right now because I don't need them anymore, but like, that's how I learned ZBrush. Not by YouTube videos, because there weren't any. I learned it by reading through these books, and I read every single page, and I folded like every other page, like the corner of it. I was like, oh, I need to remember this. And I like underlined so many things, and like, oh man, so many bookmarks I can remember. I have the books in my closet back there. But yeah, I really wish I had someone back then that was making some quality videos, or making something like my How to ZBrush series that literally takes you from zero and gives you kind of a lot of the information that you need to start out. That was the point of that series, and that's the point of me kind of making these videos and streaming and making a lot of this content. So, but yeah, that's 250 people. That's nothing to, in my opinion, that's nothing to like be ashamed of. That's a lot of people, like a lot of real human beings. I don't know. That's how I like to think about it. Aubrey says, "Sup peeps, what's going on, Aubrey? Aubrey, you're the one who called me Follygon. That upset me and cut me very deep. I'm kidding. I really don't care." Dang man, you're so old. You're so old. No, not at all. Literally the most thing I hear about my age is how young I look. Yeah, that's very offensive. I'm super offended. No, I mean, it's ZBrush content on YouTube, like quality tutorials and stuff isn't that old. Like just a few years ago, two years ago, 1 year ago is when some real, I mean, it's hard to find like free quality tutorials on ZBrush. And the ZBrush Central tutorials are great. Not the ZBrush Central, but the Z Classroom tutorials. And I used to kind of preach those all the time and how great they were. But the problem with those, in my opinion, now is that there's such a large back catalog of content that there's a lot of stuff in there that you just don't really need to know anymore, because there are new tools that are a lot better than a lot of those old ones. Like, how many of you, I'm not even gonna know where it is. Here it is. How many of you know what Shadowbox is? Shadowbox is a tool that, I'll turn it on here. Shadowbox is a tool that gives you this box-like structure and then allows you to draw masks on the coordinates of it to create geometry in the middle. So it would create that shape based on these masks. And Shadowbox is pretty irrelevant now, I would say, just based on all the other tools that we have. So there's a lot better stuff that comes about, but you can get trapped down a rabbit hole of watching a lot of videos of older content that isn't super relevant to the stuff that can help you get up and running as quickly as possible, which is, I know, what a lot of people want. You want to get from like A to B as quick as possible. Trust me, I understand. That's how YouTube works. That's how Google search works, right? It's all a la carte. You have a question, you want the answer to it. I do too. I know how it works. I agree with it. I mean, but it's, excuse me, congestion, dying a little bit. But it's hard to know where to begin with all that. But that How to ZBrush series is a great place. I got one for you. Where's the drop canvas? I think, okay, so the drop to canvas option, I actually removed that from my old UI because at the time I was like, even at that time I was like, this is so stupid. I never use this, and I always accidentally click it, and I want it gone, so I just removed it. I like took the button and I like threw it away, and I never I never used it ever again, and I never used it before that, and I was like, goodbye forever. But I think it still exists. They might have removed it completely, but it might still exist somewhere up here in Z plugin. Off the top of my head, though, I don't really care. But yeah, you could do some cool stuff with it back then. You still can, I guess, but there's a lot better ways to do. There's a million ways to do everything. It's all about finding the best method for doing that, though, for you. Don't feel like just because I do something one way that you have to do it the exact same way. All right. So I'm thinking, let's see here. Let's throw some toy plastic on these eyes. MRGB, fill object. We can sample a color here just to get like a really crappy base color. And for the bottom part of the jaw, I'll just sample the lower belly portion color. And for the eye, these are looking a little bit yellow with the green around them, making it a little tough to select. Fill those in. I'm going to want those more yellow though, personally. And we'll mess with a lot of this stuff, or I will mess with this stuff off of stream, simply because I'm getting close to that 2-hour mark and I actually do need to go here shortly. But we can fill in some colors really quick. If you guys got any last minute questions, feel free to throw them in the chat real quick before I bounce out of here. Real quick, I'll look through. What is drop to canvas? I know exactly what you mean. Back in my day, we had to pick up the model to move and rotate and then drop it back on the canvas. Back in ZBrush 2. Yes, I've not been using ZBrush since ZBrush 2. But yes, I can feel your pain. I understand. Sculpting in ZBrush back in the day was based on projection. So that's kind of why ZBrush is still like this 2D kind of canvas thing. If you know how ZBrush used to work back in the day, the way it's evolved over time kind of makes more sense. Michael says, this was awesome, thanks. Thank you, Michael, for coming in and hanging out while I work on some stuff. Doing some sculpting. Glad you guys had the opportunity and time to get in here. I know it can be hard when my schedule's all over the place too, so don't feel bad if you can't make it. And like I said, I always upload the streams afterward, so if you do end up missing the stream, no worries, it's not the end of the world. I will pretty much always post them, unless, I just do something super embarrassing, and I have to cut just the entire footage, which I find very unlikely, but, anything can happen. Yeah, so I think I'll play around with some eye color and some other stuff, but yeah, we're, color always brings stuff up to a better level. It helps you. It's kind of like blocking out, we can see stuff a little bit better now. I'll play with it a lot more off the stream, but it is time for Ben to go. So thank you guys for coming in, hanging out. You guys are all awesome. Indie Respawn says, awesome sculpt, man. Thank you so much. I'll be working on it more before I post any finished stuff. We got some spikes, some scales to do, some proportions to mess with, some blending, some painting. We got a lot of stuff to do. But thank you. Thanks for the stream, Folly. Sorry if I was crashing the party. No, by no means were you crashing any party. It's all changed. ZBrush is all changed for the better. Absolutely. Have you ever thought about critiquing other people's work? Absolutely not. No. I hate other people. I hate other people's work. I won't even look at it. No, that's not true at all. That's being super sarcastic. I love looking at other people's work. For the patron-only live streams, I allow people to send me their own work, send me turnaround images or even a Z tool, and I'll import it and I'll work on it while I do a patron-only live stream. I might bring that over to the public live streams that I'm going to start doing a little bit more frequently here. But if you want some critique on your work, the ZBrush Discord is always a good place to share your work up in here. If you want some critique and you want to post some stuff, you can send some stuff in here. Let's see here. I posted somewhere in here. Man, there's like almost 1,000 people in here now, so it's filling up fast in terms of content. So I guess we could just search, try to find. Ooh, apparently a lot of people use the word goofy. Maybe I can find this. I did Fiona the hippo from the Cincinnati Zoo since I live in the Cincinnati area. Man, I just can't find him. I recently sculpted Goofy for one of my sculptember days. You can check that out on my Instagram, but I won't spend the time and waste your guys' time looking for that to show you more of my stuff. But yes, check out the ZBrush Discord, link in my YouTube links on my channel banner. Check it out there. Real quick here. Any other questions? I don't think so. And you learned a lot for your current sculpt, says Lockshades. Well, awesome. I'm super glad to hear that. So I think with that, guys, I'm going to bounce on out of here. Thank you all for coming again. I definitely appreciate you all coming in and hanging out. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next stream, which I hope will be tomorrow. I'll post it on Facebook or Twitter if I am. And I'll see you guys then. So peace out.